Welcome to Against Medical Advice. I'm your host, Jimmy Diamond. The identity and location of the following recording has been changed to protect the anonymity and confidentiality of the clients. The views and opinions of speaker do not directly reflect those of the podcast. The following is a live recording of real people struggling with addiction and trying to seek recovery. This is for educational purposes only. We hope you enjoy. So, we got a snorer. All right. Welcome, everybody. Last week, we were talking about, we did like a summary on the second step. We did hope, and we also did insanity. Today, we're going to talk about belief systems, coming to believe. How do I come to believe in something? What does it mean to believe something? And how can I start believing in things that are good for me? Doesn't matter. This could be with obviously we're focused on addiction in here, but you can take this outside of any realm, believing anything that's kind of good for you. To believe something. Now, in the second step, we talk about coming to believe, like coming into a belief system. So this isn't the belief. This is coming into the belief. So it's almost like the process of believing. You see what I'm saying? What is that process, and what am I coming to believe in? I'm coming to believe in a power greater than myself. Now, when you hear a power greater than yourself, what do you commonly think of? God. There it is, Jesus. Right? Jesus, right? This spiritual thing, higher power, God, something like that. My goal today is to talk about the process and the tangible things that you can use to make that process easier. God bless you. Something tangible, like God. I think we were talking about it, I think we might have been talking about it last week, but God, I don't have any tangible evidence of God. I've never met him. I've never met anyone who's met him, so I want to come to believe in a power greater than myself of something that is tangible. I can, in fact, use and apply to my everyday living. I want to gather evidence as to how that works, right? I need to know how to use this power greater than myself. So I want to remove the idea of nothing tangible from a power greater than ourselves and see that these beliefs have to come into power greater than ourselves. I want to call it a tool. So we have to start to believe in the tool that we're going to use to restore ourselves to sanity. We have to believe that what we use to give us the ability to think and behave in a normal, rational manner is, in fact, a good tool. It's the right tool. It's a good tool. It's going to give me the results that I want. This plan's going to give me what I want. And I want to believe that. I need to accept that as true. And what we may see is in the past, we may have not only not accepted these things as true, but refused them. Like, said, no, that's not true. Refused it. Blatantly, it was like, no. Anybody remember what that was the definition of?
Insanity.
Denial. Good job, though. Close, right? But going back, it was denial is the refusal to accept something as true. So if I don't believe it, I'm denying it. Now, the dangerous thing about denying and not believing foundationally in both definitions is that it's true.
Right.
Why don't you believe it? It's true. You see what I'm saying? That's the bad part about denial and not believing. It's like, this is true. There's good, solid evidence to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that this, in fact, is true. Now, this step is about gathering that information. It's not about making the decision. The next step is about making the decision. This is merely about getting information, seeing what tool works for you. How does that work? How long did it take? Why did you start using that tool? You know, if we were restoring a car, I would want to know these things. I would need to know the tools I use, and me using the right tool is important to getting the job done as fast and efficiently as possible. I'm not saying that recovery is something that has to be done fast and efficiently, but painlessly is kind of important. Right? If I'm sanding a car down by hand is a lot worse than if I'm sanding a car down with a sander, right? You'd want to use the tool. If I don't use the tool, if I'm not using the sander, because I believe it's too much electricity, it's too expensive. I can't buy a sander. It's people who use sanders aren't really about the natural, thing of fixing the car. It's like, do you know how long it takes to sand a car?
By hand.
By hand. Do you know how long you're going to have to be in the garage sanding it? You're going to have to be away from your family? You know what I mean? All those things that you sanding this car, and that's just sanding it, bud. Right? You see people have approaches like this to recovery. They spend all this time reading all these books about self-help. That's awesome. I'm not saying it's not going to get the job done, but maybe you should just focus on learning about addiction first. That's why we're here specifically, Maybe read a book about it. You're reading all these books. Maybe you could read this book. That's like a guy who loves tools but don't want to buy a sander. There's people out there who love fitness and, are addicted to heroin, and they're like, I shoot it, I don't smoke it, I'm a fitness person, I'm also a vegan, but I'm a heroin addict. You know what I mean? They believe that those things outbalance, that these diets is a power greater than the heroin, or whatever the case may be. Some people believe that past experiences determine their current health. Like, I played hockey and football in high school, so I don't have a problem with my lungs from smoking. Things like that. So, now, today I want to talk about, when we are discussing belief systems, today we're going to talk about belief systems in the first part, maybe beliefs in general, maybe get into powers greater than ourselves, and what are those powers greater than ourselves, and how can I start believing in these as powers greater than myself? Like, how can I start believing that a book can change my life? You know what I mean? Change the way I think. How can I start believing that if I have a sponsor or a mentor or a therapist or someone, it might be good for me, I might actually benefit from it. And then, not only that, but coming to believe that it's actually working. There's a process. If you do decide to use it, there's a process. I've done therapy, and there's a time in the therapy, maybe weeks in, couple weeks in, 4, 3, I don't know, where you say, I don't want to go. I'd rather do this. I'd rather do that. Do you know that's a part of the process? If you know that's a part of the process, if you talk to people about that, then you may be able to identify, oh, it's 3 weeks in, this is how I feel, and that's a wrong feeling. That's an incorrect feeling, and I have to overcome that, right? Those are called, maybe you can think of them as like checkpoints. Hey, this is how we used to do directions back in the day. Hey, so you're going to go through 2 streetlights, and then when you get to the 3rd street light, you're going to take a left. You'll see a McDonald's, and then when you take that left at the McDonald's, you're going to come to a sharp turn. You're going to see a blind driveway sign, and then you're going to get to a sharp turn, and you take that turn, and then you're going to see a house set back. It's yellow. That's my house. You know what I mean? That's what understanding the journey of recovery looks like, right? Okay, so when you are doing therapy, it's going to be kind of rough at first, and you're going to get used to it, then you're going to get really good at it, and you may not think you need it anymore. You know what I mean? And you're going to have to keep on going past that feeling and get over it, and then you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to like it, and blah, 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 blah. And I know it costs money, but I'm telling you that money's worth it. I know it costs some gas to get here, but the drugs are worth it. I would be there. You know what I'm saying? Why don't I believe good things in my life like that? Why don't I believe that There's value in having that sponsor. Why don't I see value in having the therapist or reading these books or going to meetings or going to treatment? You know, we had to see, in order for us to be here, we had to come to believe that being here was better than being there. That me being in treatment is a lot better than me being wherever we were before treatment. Where were you before this?
Bluff.
Bluff?
Bad place.
Gutter.
Bad place? Gutter? Were you in a gutter bar?
Outside of the Crate and Barrel?
Yeah. Right? Like, where were you before? And wait, let me ask you this. If you never came here, where would you be?
Dead.
I'd probably be back in the hospital.
Gutter.
I would be drunk at home right now.
Right. Drunk at home. Who would you be with?
At what? 9 in the
I
morning?
know.
Dude, at 9:30.
Yes.
You're running late.
Where would we be if we were not here, if we didn't come to treatment? Okay, cool. Where would I be if I never, dude, 7 years, if I never went, I'd be dead, bro. I have a friend of mine who, like, started using before me, and he got sober, and then I started using, you know what I mean? And then, like, he would be like, dude, you're an idiot, Jimmy. You gotta stop doing this. Like, you can't be doing this. And he went his way. He reached, like, jails, institutions, and death early on. Like, a couple years goes by, and you see him, and he's talking about how he's got a metal plate in his head because he got jumped from, like, robbing some dude because he was homeless. And you're like, oh. Okay, dude. You know what I mean? It's like, where would I be? Would I have a metal plate in my head? Would I have, you know, you see people who, like, don't make the decision. They come to believe that, you know what, this cigarette isn't that bad. And if they had come to the belief that it is bad, they would still have their fingers and toes. Still have them. You know? Same thing maybe with a diet. This is any disease. Think about diseases, right? If someone has, like, diabetes or something like that, if they don't see that and come to believe that there's a way to overcome it and they fall to the problem, they lose limbs and shit like that. That's just what happens, you know? If they don't believe that this is something I need to do, this is a decision that I need to handle. Because I like feeling things. I like feeling things. I don't know about you. I like walking. I like moving. Alcohol, drugs, they remove my ability to do that. Look at this. I'm walking. Look how far I'm walking right now. Can I walk this far in a jail cell? Do I believe that that's a possibility? Or do I just believe it's not going to happen to me? You know? I don't know. But these ideas do come from a place. How do I come to believe that it ain't going to happen to me?
Before.
You see what I'm saying? These are, like, good, solid questions. What makes me believe that it's not going to work for me?
So I'm not that bad.
Right. And that belief,
It's fucking dangerous.
where did that belief get you?
I don't want to talk about that, Jimmy.
Right? That belief got me into a shitty place. What is something you believe in? Have you ever believed in something that you didn't have tangible evidence for?
Yes.
What?
God and Jesus.
Big Bang Theory?
Big Bang?
Aliens.
Aliens?
Santa Claus. Easter
Santa.
Bunny. Fairy. Tooth Fairy.
What was it?
Tooth Fairy.
Tooth Fairy. I believe in Tooth Fairy too.
Ghosts.
Ghosts? Dude, you see that, I watched that ghost hunting
Oh, yes.
Ghost
Yes.
Hunter.
on, it's like some YouTube channel. It was awesome. I fast forwarded, but I was like, this is good content, man. They got 30 million views. Like, keep it up. I don't know what I'm not into it, but hey, keep it
I have a
going.
friend that does it, and there's evidence.
Really?
I'll tell you in another episode.
What is it? Like, what's the evidence that, like, how do they have evidence of ghosts?
Photographs that they take, and then later, where there's no one there, and then later there's an image in the photograph. Things moving, cool winds in the room, sounds.
Okay. What else do you believe in of no tangible evidence? Do you believe in
Reincarnation?
reincarnation? What if anybody's superstitious?
I'm just a little stitches.
Just a little.
Split poles.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Do we
The Russian.
broken glass, spilled salt,
Walking under
Walking
ladders.
under ladders.
ladders, black cats,
Splitting poles.
I don't got the black.
splitting poles. So yeah.
What's split? What?
Like when you're
splitting,
walking, yeah.
And then you'll get in a fight with your friend. Yeah. Jinx.
That's a bad joke.
Jinx,
Yes,
dude.
there, that's it. I hadn't heard that in a long time.
What about what are some other ones?
Stepping on a crack.
Knock on wood. What was it?
Stepping on a crack.
Yes.
Stepping on a crack.
Yeah.
When I run, I literally run over, like, skip on the sidewalk because I'm like,
I know like a lot of sports guys don't step on the lines of the field.
Bro, sports. I was saying the
Oh,
other
gosh.
dude.
they're the most superstitious.
I think the Celtics were in the finals last year, and it was games like 6 of the semifinals or something like that, and I was like, yeah, bro, I forgot I had my Ray Allen jersey. I haven't worn it the whole time. I'm gonna put it on. My dad was like, whoa, you're not gonna put it on now.
Right.
Game 6, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I want to wear it. I want to support. He goes, no. If you're gonna do anything, you're gonna wait to wear it in the finals. And they ended up losing. I didn't even put it on the first one.
Burn it, Jimmy.
Dude,
It's the only
I
way to
put it on the section
exercise
one.
those demons, dude.
Dude,
Yeah,
yeah.
another thing is like in hockey, like if the goalie's putting out a shutout, you never say shutout.
Oh
yeah.
Or like I know that this is a thing, but like when you win the fucking championships, you don't touch the trophy, you know,
Yep.
or you'll never win again.
I touched this. That was the thing. If you
You
touch
win the
this-
big final trophy, you can lift that one, but like there's one before, you know, when you win
Yeah.
the conference.
Yep. I touched the Stanley Cup when I was a kid, and I was so excited to like tell people. And when I told older people, they were like, "Yeah, you should quit now.
Yeah.
You're never gonna touch the cup. There's no reason. You already did it. And they were very superstitious about it.
In healthcare, we always, you never say it's quiet because then
Yeah.
it'll go crazy,
Yep.
and then the full moon is a thing.
Full moon.
Yes,
Full
yes.
moon.
Is a thing.
Oh yeah, the full moon. I hear that a
Yes,
lot,
stand
and
to
I'm
be
just like, what are you
right
people
now.
talking about?
That's true.
Oh, it's full moon night.
It
Oh,
is.
that's it. It's gonna be gunshots and deaths, you know.
It
Yeah.
definitely is a thing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's true. Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
That just happened.
yeah.
Yeah, we just had a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, we did.
How about COVID in general?
Yeah.
Like, what makes you believe that? Yes.
If you
I
have
got it.
someone a pocket knife that's open, to have to hand it back to you open.
Yep. That's true.
No, I didn't know that one.
Yep. I just learned that too.
Or you'll get stabbed.
Don't close somebody else's knife. It's back open. Oh.
Opening
well,
the
he's dead
umbrella
now.
inside.
Oh, umbrella.
Don't sweep over your feet, because then you won't get married. That's what my grandma would tell me.
Sweep over your
Like
feet.
if you're
Yeah,
sweeping and
that's
somebody's
fine.
like, if you
Underneath
sweep
them.
over their feet, then my grandma would always say you won't get married.
Oh, I always thought it was like you sweep under someone's feet.
Like over, under, just you won't get married.
You don't go near anyone's feet with a broom.
Putting your hat on the bed.
Sweep
Oh, hat on the bed.
your
Yep.
purse on the.
Wait, what is that? What's that one?
Hat on the bed.
Did you ever see that? The movie, dude, there's a crazy movie called, it's about drugs. It's about people going around robbing pharmacies. And the guy's really he's in Everybody Loves Mary and stuff like that. And he walks in and he's like, who put this hat on the bed? He's like, you know how unlucky, we can't do the heist tomorrow. We can't do it. and he loses it over a hat on the bed and how much bad luck it is. And they go and do the heist and they get caught. And
Which guy is he in Something About Mary? Is it
He's the guy who's like, yeah, I
the one Susan dated?
Is it
Matt
Ryan?
Matt Dillon?
Matt Dillon. He pulls out the
From
map.
Entourage?
Yeah.
When you're pregnant, don't let people touch your belly. Everybody touch your belly.
Really?
Yeah, my grandma. Unless they're like, it's the father, like immediate family. But don't let anybody come and touch your stomach.
Is that a
Like, oh my God,
thing?
you're pregnant, and then they want to rub it. Like, don't.
There are a lot of
That, like,
ones
bad
around
energy.
like pregnancy. Like if you carry high, you're having a
Oh, yeah.
you carry low.
Don't
If
put your
you're
baby on the
If you
table
have really
when
bad,
you're first born.
you know,
Think about that. That's
Yeah.
like a,
Heartburn, the baby has lots
Is there
of
medical
hair.
evidence?
yo, see, that's
Look,
what I'm asking.
yeah,
Like,
superstitious.
how wild is that? There's these beliefs around like just medical stuff. Like,
Yeah.
where's the data? You
Oh,
know,
yeah, that's-
evidence-based research around carrying high or carrying low. You know,
Oh, the hot hand
what about that?
basketball.
Oh, you mean the yips? The yips, like the dude from the Cowboys, he got the yips.
Heating up the hot hand.
Hmm.
That's
No,
I
please.
worked with a psychologist who had strong
I read
evidence
an
it's not
interview,
true. But
uh,
you know when someone's heating up, like they keep getting baskets and they have a
Uh-huh.
hot hand, they're like They're- Stephen
They're on.
Curry.
They're on fire.
Yeah.
You don't say it. You're not supposed to say it.
No, it's a superstition that like if someone has a hot hand, then they're
Oh, so it's
Yeah, it's the
no
same as like the
evidence to
shutout
prove that.
thing, or like if you're throwing no
Yeah,
hitter,
throwing a no-hitter, you
baseball,
don't talk to the
fucking-
pitcher.
The guy sits alone in the bench. No one even says boo to him. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you leave the pitcher alone if he's pitching a perfect game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so let's talk about some of these beliefs and how do we come into it? Like, how do I come into the belief that salt spilling is going to ruin my life? And I actually engage in the behavior. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel when you have to knock on wood and there is no wood?
Yeah.
Get a little bit
There's a backup to knock on. You just go.
You're like, where's the wood? Yeah, you go like this, something like that, you know?
I always do the head thing.
The head thing, right?
Uh-huh.
Helpless.
That's not going.
Vlad, I think we were talking about insanity in the last class, right? Is a state of mind which prevents normal perception, behavior, and social interaction. Just the state of mind that not knocking on wood when a time calls for it prevents normal social interaction. Like, I gotta stop talking to you and find wood, right? And there's nothing that says it's justified, you know? And the other people are like, bro, you better find wood. they're telling you to find wood. You know what I mean? They're like, knock on something, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have anxiety knowing that you're not doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of like thousands of years of just superstition behind all of those. You know, you can't really. That's just like ingrained in our psyche, I guess.
Dude,
But I mean, it's very different than than what we're trying to change our psyche in a new way. It's just too fresh, you know.
right.
If we could get, I came to believe that a power greater than myself to be like knock on wood. Fuck, we'd be in a good place.
Right. And, I mean, this is like, these beliefs have been just evolutionary.
There's no evidence needed, you know?
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what's crazy about them. Because in other things, we're like, no, prove it to me. Let me see the data on that.
Yeah. And, you know, that's valid and it's not valid. Because
Yeah.
there's times where, look at Galileo. We're talking about a whole society, the entire world thinks the world is the center of the universe. And one guy comes around and says, you guys are idiots. And don't they kill him?
Yeah.
They're like, bro, the sun is the center of the universe, and he's right, and they kill him anyways. And you got a whole society that's wrong, believing that the earth is the center of the universe, and it's not. And the whole time that this guy is being killed, the sun is the center of the universe, and the earth is rotating around it. So these beliefs, they're always up. You have to be open-minded with your beliefs. You know what I mean? We can't be hung up on them. We can't, define everything in our life upon these beliefs. And the beliefs we have around addiction and sobriety are jaded as a result of what we've done in active addiction. Like some of our beliefs may be incorrect. They may not be true. The way we perceive the world, perceive ourselves, the way we behave, some of our social interactions, those may be impacted as a result of our addiction. So I need to believe that, it goes back to like first step, I need to believe that this is a problem. This is something that has to be fixed. And I need to find something that can provide that change for me. And what is that change? This is where we brainstorm, well, what can give me the change of mind, the change of health, the change of spirit, all these things needed for that full restoration. Yes.
Have you heard of heuristics? Heuristics, like availability heuristic. There's a bunch of them. One of them is superstition. So basically, it's like the availability heuristic is, say you see like a news story about a plane crashing. You're terrified to get on planes, but statistically, you're more likely to die in a car accident. So it's our shortcuts our brains make to comprehend and deal with the anxiety of the world and fears of the unknown and whatnot. And
It's
one
like,
of them is
it's like a
superstition.
defense mechanism, justification.
Yeah, it's a big thing in cognitive psychology. But if you look into heuristics, it's really interesting.
So let me ask you this. So that's a natural thing that
We have
humans
evolved
do.
to have these, like, for example, superstitions. It's much easier for us to confirm a superstition. Say something, we don't want to step on a crack, but we do. Something happens, we're like, oh, that's because that happened. Say it doesn't happen, oh, well, just luck, it's much easier for us to believe in a superstition than to discount it with further evidence against it.
Now, how has your addiction hijacked that in your life?
Right.
I want to.
Yeah, well, you say, well, this will make me happy, and it does. A lot of times it doesn't. A lot of times it causes destruction, but our brains cling to this, if I do this drug or I drink this, then I'm going to feel better, or good things are going to happen, or whatever. But then, 9 times out of 10 it might cause destruction. But we are wired to look at that time when it causes good in our life.
For me, it was,
No, go ahead.
For me, it was like, I've been prescribed this, and so I've been prescribed this amphetamine. It's not bad as like if I was getting glass off of the street or something, so that's okay, But then I'm completely ignoring all the evidence that I've manipulated the psychiatrist into a way of giving me this, That I push to the side. It's just prescribed. My name's on the bottle. I'm taking a little bit more than needed, but it's okay,
And then, what I believe is this is why the 4th step is needed, because then what happens is from repeated exposure to that, me relating to you, I lose track of my morals.
Absolutely.
So I think what's wrong is right, and like what's right is wrong.
Now manipulating psychiatrists just becomes part of my moral compass,
Yeah, and I forget that I even manipulated.
I had like a little bit of kind of reservations about it in the beginning, but once I was in it, I was like, fuck it, that's part of the game now, you know what I mean?
And you see people who start off, like this is why the restoration to sanity, in my opinion, begins before drug use. Because, like, I never believed stealing was okay. Like, there was a time where I authentically said stealing is wrong.
Yes.
And then somewhere along the way I began justifying my stealing and saying that this specific stealing is right because it's from a corporation, and this specific stealing is wrong, but it's like the morals around stealing shouldn't even exist.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Whenever you're in active addiction, your morals seem to shift to be centered around your drug of choice. And you just seem to find ways to help yourself deal with the cognitive dissonance of doing things you wouldn't do before you were in active addiction.
And to achieve that cognitive dissonance, I need to be high. Like,
Yes.
that is a...
Yo, Jimmy.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
that, it's, for me to detach
Yeah.
from this or whatever, I have to be high, and that amount of high is like, I'm powerless,
But when does it become addiction?
I don't think there's any line, I think when it becomes an addiction, is it's the individual has to determine when it becomes an addiction. And the moment I think an individual has their first opportunity to discover addiction and change it is the moment they discover physical withdrawals is cured with the drug.
Okay.
Now, if they, and then that is like, now when they determine that, there's no telling how long they've been addicted since that point. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, somebody could come to that idea and they've been drinking for 35 years. Somebody could come to that idea and they had one heavy night of drinking and got a DUI. You see what I'm saying? So it's up to the individual to say, that's too much. This is making my life unmanageable.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say, you know? Okay, so let's talk about, I want to talk about beliefs, like common beliefs, and these are all very common beliefs, you know, but I want to talk about like big ones and kind of how do we come into this belief and then compare that to coming into the belief that like drugs is good, this is good for me, yada yada yada, this is a problem solver. And I want to talk about Santa Claus. Where is it? He's on here. Here he is. How does somebody... Oh, by the way, this definition is the definition of believe. So to believe something means to accept something as true. Or, here's that word feel again, to feel sure of the truth. Like, I know this is working. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is working. Or I feel this is bad for me. You know what I mean? Or I feel this is good for me. It's like these beliefs can be all over the place, specifically with our addiction. And we got to kind of identify some of them. Well, you don't really have to. I think you do. I like doing it that way. You don't got to do it the way that I do it, but I like doing it this way. Santa Claus. How does a kid come to believe in Santa Claus?
Their parents tell them.
Society tells them.
Most of this shit is upbringing.
They wake up on Christmas morning and they find presents under the tree.
Xmas.
Movies.
Movies.
People dressing like Santa.
Santa Claus.
They met the guy. I congratulate
We did see Santa.
We
in the
saw,
flesh.
we met Santa in the
We
flesh
did.
the other day.
We met Santa in the
You
flesh.
got a picture with him?
No, really, we were driving.
Cookie?
We were driving to a meeting, and there was a guy that pulled up in a car next to us, and he had a reindeer in the front seat, lights, and he was dressed like Santa.
Wow.
And this was recently, like a few days ago.
Oh yeah,
Huh.
it was like earlier this week.
I'm like, yo.
He was dressed like Santa.
He was
or
dressed
he
like Santa.
was Santa.
It was Santa.
What now
Service work.
Next, my little mark.
Service
we got Santa, got pictures with him. We have seen Santa. The parents talk about him. He's in the movies. Where else? How else does a kid come to believe Santa?
Gifts that are written from Santa.
So not only do they get the presents on Christmas, but the presents are from Santa. They told the guy that that's what they wanted, and that's what they
You
got.
know what's funny about Santa
He's
though? They
amazing.
What?
also convinced us to be good for Santa.
Oh.
Wait, what?
They convinced us to act good for Santa.
That's a good
Have
point.
you been a good boy? Do you want Santa
No.
to come? He's gonna bring you. You better be a good boy, right? Now, and the kid changes the behavior as a result of the possibility of not getting what he wants. If he behaved this way, he's not sure he's gonna get that. He's not gonna get that toy, so he aligns the behavior, right? Think about all the behaviors that the parents, I just did this, bro. All the behaviors that the parents do to reinforce the idea that Santa exists. I put my friend's name in my phone under Santa, said, yo, call me, and be like, ho, ho, ho! Juniper, you better get home! I'm on my way to your house! And she's like, oh. And And I'm like, look, it says it right there. Like, we better get home, you know? And she gets ready real fast and gets home. And I take cookies out with her. We put the milk out, you know what I mean? I eat the cookie when she goes to bed. And I'm like sitting there like, yo, this is crazy. No. Like, she's going to wake up like, what? This is wild, you know? And she did. She couldn't believe it. And I'm the one setting this up. She can't control it. She don't know. She's just as powerless. If she saw Santa in one movie, it would never come up again. I showed my kid Sesame Street like once. Barney. I showed her Barney once. I was like, nah, click. And she was like, she never talks about Barney. Never discusses it. Has no idea who Barney is, right? But I'm powerless. I didn't tell her about Santa Claus. She came home to me and was like, Santa is coming to town.
Did you know?
In case you didn't know. And I don't know about you guys, maybe your parents did. So, I mean, this is different, but some people's parents never said, this is how you use drugs, this is how you use this, don't use it, blah, blah, blah. We just came home and we're like, hey, what's up? It's like, imagine the kid hiding the belief in Santa Claus, being like shameful of it. It's like, yo, what? You're 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're powerless over it. And I mean, kids, I think, are powerless over interest in drugs. I think you're powerless over it. The media, the movies, the
Peer
family, you know what I mean? All the peer pressure, like all these things applied. You know, how our parents respond is the only way they know how to respond. How I respond, if I don't know what's going to happen when my kid comes up to me and says, hey, what's up with Santa Claus? You know? I'm going to have that talk. I don't know what it's going to be
You
like.
don't know what to say, Jim.
I think
It's said 100,000 times before.
when the time
You'll talk to the
comes,
person.
when the time comes, I'll figure it out, you
But
know?
when they come to you and they go, what's up with marijuana? Then you're going to have to figure out what this is then.
What am I going to say then?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when they come and are they going to come to me and have that discussion? Or are they going to hide it, you know? Are they going to, am I
We
going
need
to,
to.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We need to create. We need to create an elf on the shelf, but for drugs. You know?
Yeah, something like that. Something to kind of look forward to, you know? Like an elf on a shelf.
I don't know what that is.
It's so what it is. It's like this little elf, and you hide it around the house each day. And I think there's a little present associated with it or something.
Yeah, it brings like different things every day. Like
He-
he was in my sink with marshmallows.
There you go.
So how would that work with drugs?
So if you're caught doing something good, you get rewarded.
Uh-huh.
But if you're caught doing something bad, the elf on the shelf misbehaves and like makes a mess that you have to clean up, or
Oh.
it kind of yeah.
And it
So
reports and
it
reports
mimics
back
the
to
child's behavior.
Okay. So.
If you get an A on your test, he'll come with an A.
So, kid, they believe this, right? How long do you think kids believe in Santa Claus for?
Till
I was
6,
nosy
maybe?
to like 6, and then I started sleeping.
Till she
Oh, I
got, till she,
slept like when I
till
was
she
4.
saw him bring
Yeah.
the bicycle
Yeah.
from upstairs.
Ooh, when was that?
When she was about 11.
11. All right.
So that, like, and
18.
then
I'm gonna
like,
say
yeah.
8.
Some people don't. Now, some people grow up in a house where they don't believe in Santa Claus. But I'll tell you what, the question still comes up: who is this guy?
Yeah, you're powerless over, just like you're powerless over them being opened up to Santa. It's they find out through one of their friends, the one
Yeah.
that fucks it up, goes, bro, there's no fucking Santa Claus.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
But
probably a Jewish
nowadays,
kid
there's
in
like
class, you know?
iPads. They could just, these little kids could just
Right.
go on Google and be like, is Santa real? And then they're
Yes,
just going to be
they literally-
hit with sadness.
Now, even if that does happen, right? Who knows what kids are doing nowadays? You know what I mean? But even when that does happen, that is following a period of belief.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, the confrontation is following a period of belief. And there was a time where I may have believed drugs and alcohol were good until after that period of belief, someone sat me down and was like, dude, you get fucked up, man. Like, yo, you should just, like, think about that. You know what I mean? Like, just like the friend being like, bro, you know there's no Santa Claus, right? And that's that peer pressure exposure. And usually it's after a period of belief. People don't usually say that, you know?
But like, I'm a little older or whatever, even in the Reagan era, when Nancy Reagan was saying like, this is your brain on drugs, like we always knew this shit was bad, but like in the community or whatever, like you said, peer pressure or whatnot, you end up trying something. Like in my days, marijuana was cool, alcohol was cool, but we started smoking crack and shit like that, like, whoa, like we ain't fucking with that dude no more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Today it's like drinking water now. I mean, as far as doing drugs. We ain't know shit about a motherfucker OD, motherfucker be like, damn, what the fuck is that? I'm talking about late 80s, early 90s. Today it's like going to the store buying heroin or some shit. You know, it's like, to me it's different. Even though I'm sitting in this room with everybody, but shit different. It's like it's more accepted these days.
You are 100% correct.
It's crazy.
And I believe that having an understanding of how our beliefs change over that period of time is crucial information to understanding how my beliefs about my own addiction and recovery can change over a period of time, right? Like, I at one point thought like prescription medication was not okay. I should not. I've seen my friends take prescription medication, and I'm not going to be that dude. You know what I mean? And then I started doing it. And after doing prescription medication, I remember saying things like, you know what, man, I do perks, but I'm not doing heroin, bro. Like, there's no way I'm doing that. I believe it's not okay. And somewhere along the way, my belief was changed. Like, how long did it take? What were the moments? And there was moments where I'd be using with someone and they'd be like, bro, you still use perks? You still believe in Santa Claus? You still use perks?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Everybody's doing heroin. It's cheaper. You get higher. Like, and I believed, yes, that is a solution to my problem because I'm experiencing the problems you're talking about. I don't got money. I got all these problems happening, and they tell me that the drug is the solution.
It just, like today, a 22-year-old or a 19-year-old, they know about pills more than a fucking 20-year pharmacist. I'd be in the room, be amazed, like, damn. They know more than the motherfuckers who work in the pharmacy, in the apothecary. They know more than them.
They're a little.
How do they learn that?
Experience. In YouTube, it's experience.
I'll tell you how I remember, and I'll tell you what, bro. I used to look at those people and say, I want to know that.
Exactly, they pass it along.
I don't want to have to go to pill identifier every time I pick up pills.
Just you're a young person.
You see what I'm saying? I have to educate myself. This is me gaining street knowledge. I believe I need to learn this stuff or I'm going to get taken advantage of. This is what's going to happen. And if I don't know this, I'm going to get messed up and I'm going to have a problem. So these are literal behaviors and beliefs that I need to adopt to protect myself. How do I let those go? How to what extent are those embedded in my life? And I mean, if I'm living that type of lifestyle for 10 years, it may be difficult for me to identify those specific behaviors, those specific thoughts. And once I do identify them, I have to second step, come to believe I can get out of this. I can stop thinking like this, you know? A lot of people see these thoughts, these lifestyles, the world that we live in today as a handcuff forever, you know? And I think that idea is a depressing thought. I think that's sad. And you see people like teenagers. Tell me right now, when you were a teenager, there was a moment where you were like, I can't do this. And then people were looking at you like, bro, you're just a teenager, man. Let it go. You're going to do this. You couldn't tell me. I had to experience it. And I think that this is the same thing. I can only tell you, man. I can only tell you this is what early recovery is like. This is what life is, you know. As far as I know, in the experimentation that I've done and the people I've talked to, I have not experienced all life, you know. There's going to be a time where there's a new feeling that comes in, and I'm going to have to learn how to stay sober through that new feeling that I've never experienced. And I'm going to need people who have stayed sober through that to believe that it's even possible, to even come to get some sort of plan. And if I can't find that person, hopefully when that time comes, I got some plan that I've done that might work, you know? But if I have no plan, nothing like that, then when that new feeling comes and I don't like it, I might want something to change the way I feel. And if I use a drug or substance to change how I feel in that moment, then I might be setting myself up for problems. Maybe that's not for everybody, but that is for me, you know?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Sorry. I kind of feel like it's a societal norm. So if you're around people, like you said, oh, well, I just pop a perk, I would never do heroin. Well, if you're around people who do that, just like a child with Santa Claus, that becomes your societal norm. Like as a teacher, I have so many kids come up to me and say, so-and-so told me Santa Claus is not true. Well, me as that person, I'm like, because I don't know what they believe at home, what they're told at home. I just say, oh, well, you have to believe in what you believe in. Like if you think he's real, then he's real. So if you're around the norm of, oh, well, this is okay, doing drugs or drinking or whatever, versus around the norm of people who don't do that, then it becomes your society of what your normal is, because everybody has a different connotation of normal.
And you know what, like what Matt was saying, like when do you think you become an addict? I'll tell you, it was a societal norm for everyone to drink and smoke weed. But we tried coke, and then everyone kind of was like, nah. But I liked it. So I changed my fucking society. I stopped hanging out with those dudes, you know, and I went a whole different direction running with a whole different bunch of dudes that were cool with coke, you know? And that's fucking right there. That's addict shit, you know what I mean? These guys were my boys since like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and they just wanted to go with the drinking and the weed, you know, and stay in sports and all that, and I just wanted to go a different direction.
Anybody in here,
You know what I mean?
thank you for sharing. I agree with that. I remember.
So you're talking about societal norms, but when you start to change your society to fit your drug using, there you go. There's your addict.
In my, like, I had I was between like abuse too. I mean, cause I was taking Adderall, and meth is my drug of choice, or whatever. But I was taking Adderall, but I was taking it like the doctor prescribed. I wasn't, you know, taking more than what he prescribed. But I mean that's kind of what.
I mean, me too.
It's like,
me too.
When is it abuse? I mean, is it? Like,
I stopped taking it like it's prescribed, but like I just know I can't, man. It's just
like
I just
taking
can't.
3 of them instead of just one. If you prescribe one, you take 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you
that's
prescribe 30 milligrams and you take
abusing.
100.
Yeah, once you start taking more than you're prescribed, then you're abusing it.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say this. When I made the decision to be in recovery, I did not want any medication.
Me either.
So when I came in, I asked for Adderall, I asked for Suboxone, I asked for Xanax and Klonopin and all these things. And then when they said I couldn't have them, it was like, okay, now I have to figure out how to gain focus without Adderall. You know what I mean? Now I have to learn, and that what that does is it fully restores my brain. You see what I'm saying?
It forces you to use those pathways that Adderall over exaggerates, you know, but now you have to organically use them, and then they come back. Bro.
And they come back. Neuroplasticity. They do come back, right? Like you can get your brain back to where it was. And keep in mind, we're talking about the brain so heavily because that's where this is. Physical withdrawals is not occurring right now.
It's over.
It's over. You know what I mean? So the idea of that is, you know, and bro, for me, I enjoy using things that I have control over to optimize my behavior. So for focus, coffee, cold shower, exercise, light exposure, I'd rather use those quick, easy behavioral things to get me in the mindset and behaviorally where I need to be instead of an Adderall. where I take that, I'm not getting sleep, I'm not eating, I'm not talking to my family, I am hyper-focused like this, you know what I mean?
And then it just fucking triggers you to fucking want to calm yourself down, and then that's booze, or, you know what I mean? Or let's say you take an Adderall in the morning, what, you take a benzo at night? Fuck, I ain't about it, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you for asking the question. I want to kind of get to this point, and then we're going to take a break. I want to hear some experience, though. Anybody in here remember the time when they discovered Santa Claus was not real? What was that like for you?
I was like 4 years old and I was already skeptical. So I remember I didn't sleep as a kid, literally. I remember sneaking down the stairs and looking over the banister and seeing my parents put the presents out, and I was like, I knew it. But I didn't tell my siblings. I did tell them about sex, but not Santa.
Okay. All right.
I mean, when I saw my dad army boot come downstairs, just like my daughter found out was no Santa Claus, and he had my Coleco vision. My Coleco vision. I didn't give a fuck because I had my Coleco vision.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
Anybody else?
Yeah, my sister fucked that up for me. You know, she wanted to rub that in my face.
Wow. How old were you?
Oh, I don't even remember. I mean, I grew up Jewish, but still, like, we still did the Santa Claus thing just because we were Americans and everything. But I just remember my sister was like, that shit, you know, there's no fucking Santa Claus, you dumb motherfucker, you know?
Dude. What? Yeah.
She's 4 years
So it
old.
wasn't about me, it was about my daughter.
Okay.
She was about 5. And I was sure that she had heard at school that Santa wasn't real. I just was sure, and then she asked me a question about Santa, and I said, well, you know that's me and your dad, right? Because I thought she knew, and she started bawling. I ruined it. I devastated her about Santa. And I felt so shitty. I was like, oh my god.
Okay.
You're not holding any guilt on that, are you? You let that go.
Maybe just a little.
You gotta work that. You're in the right. Keep coming back.
I didn't have the sit down Santa isn't real conversation. I just kind of as I got older, I just stopped believing gradually. But there was this one time whenever I went to camp, and this one kid, he was like 13, 14 years old, he still believed in Santa Claus, and we all just kind of broke the news to him.
Wow. How do you take it?
He was like, no, you guys are bullshitting us.
Denial.
That is some fucking bullying shit, John.
But think about that, right?
I was a fucking 13-year-old kid. What else was I supposed to do?
Yeah, you fell in with the crowd and you wanted to fuck with this kid.
I had the talk, is what happened to me. It started with me from the tooth fairy. So I caught my mom putting the money and taking the tooth, and I went to her the next day and I was like, were you in my room last night?
Right?
And she's like, yes, I was. And I'm like, okay, that's no problem. It's just you must have just been making sure the tooth fairy came by, right? And she's like, Jimmy, dude, you're in I think I was in 5th grade, and she's like, bro, the tooth fairy, Jimmy, and I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? It's the, and she's like, I mean, come on, there's no tooth fairy, and I kind of took a second and thought about it. I was like, okay, some lady, fairy flying around, collecting teeth, giving out money. No way. But I looked at her, I was like, but the Santa Claus, right? He's real, right? And she was like, no. And I cried, bro. I had to go to school later that day, and I'm super sad and depressed. Also found out the Easter Bunny doesn't exist. All in one sitting, bro. Yeah. And I go in that.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, right? I'm like, oh my god, a hopping bunny? Come on. It's weird because when you sit down and the truth is set on you, the logistics of it makes no sense. Santa Claus, a flying fat guy with flying reindeer, North Pole, a list checking it twice, that's totally insane. A fairy flying around collecting teeth, oh my god, that's totally insane. A bunny, dude? why did I believe this? I can't believe it. And it's the spiritual awakening you have that never goes away. And the rest of your life, you just walk around knowing that's fantasy. That's this fantasy land. It's not real. It's
But
not.
You cling to it because it's like your innocence, you know, and you're fighting for it, bro.
Dude.
Yeah, but you realize if you tell your parents you don't believe in them, you're not going to get money.
Well, there's that too, but it's
you're not going to
Oh
get
yeah,
rich
exactly.
with it.
I
You're not gonna
kept
get
going
to
with
eat your
that.
ass.
I just
Yeah,
want
I
to
thought that at a young age, but
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I need that money.
Yeah.
Sleep
Right.
right every time.
Well, think about this. Those are the behaviors we use to just go with the flow.
That's the
Get
same
what
with
we
drinking and
want.
pot. It's like I'm clinging to this fucking like innocence of like being 13 or 14 or 15 and smoking. You know what I mean? I'm clinging to it when I'm like 25 and like the old guy at the party. You know? 35.
And you know what happens? Those Santa Claus people, they end up on like TV shows where they're like, this guy celebrates Santa 365 days a year.
His whole house is fucking Santa.
Yeah, dude. He dresses like Santa, goes out like everywhere, you know what I mean? They're like, there's that Santa
And then
guy.
you're like, there's that fucking
Alcoholic,
Right.
there's that fucking guy who drinks 365, thinks that drinking is a good thing to do 365 days out of the year.
He's got like a pit in his basement.
Dude.
Wild Bill shit, you know? John Wayne Gacy type shit.
Dude, you see what I'm saying? And we are the ones in that belief looking at the world saying, but Santa time is all the time.
Yeah.
Christmas is all the time. Drinking, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Right? It's like, dude, we cannot continue to walk around with this belief system. It's okay to jump into it knowing that this is not the world. This is not how the world, like with our kids, you know what I mean? We jump into it. This ain't how the world operates. You know what I mean? This isn't for me. This is for my kid. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that recovery is that. Like, me staying sober ain't for the people who fucking drink. It's for me. It's for, like, my family. It's for, you know, my friends and this and that. It's like, me believing that recovery is possible gives me the opportunity to help other people see that. And, you know, help you carry your message. And it gives me the opportunity to let my kid experience that innocence. Let my kid experience the joy, the spirit, all that. Because I think that's an important part of the process, you know? And I mean, if you went through hell to get here, that is an important part of the process. The moment where you discover Santa Claus does not exist is the beginning of it. And the moment you discover you gotta stay sober is that same moment. You mean, okay, I understand heroin, like I get the tooth fairy, but alcohol? Weed? What about my Adderall prescribed from the doctor? Yeah, man, that's a drug. That's maybe something you want to look into and like avoid, you know? And that's like a earth-shattering realization. That's a soul-crushing realization. And we may be depressed from that. I was. It's like a shocking, if I knew all this, I wouldn't have came in yet. If I knew all this, I wouldn't have said anything to you, Mom. I wouldn't have asked you the questions about Santa Claus if I knew this is what would have happened. I would have just been like, nope, not true, and just kept on walking. I would have used the same tools I did. But I had to go and ask questions. I had to figure it all out, and here I am. That's life, yo. That's what it is. And this is our life. This is our choice, and we better start figuring out what we believe is right, and how do I know it's right? How do I know it's true? Because you can see how our beliefs can be changed as a result of our addiction. The same way, like, we believed that maybe drinking hard booze was smarter than drinking, you know, beer. You know, thinking that, you know, if we believed that powers greater than ourselves had the ability to restore us to sanity in support of our addiction, right? You see cigarette smokers walking around, driving around with toothbrushes and cologne, like that's going to hide the fact that you smoke cigarettes, bud. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the power of the substance is more than the power is greater than ourselves to control it. When we're sober, the powers greater than ourselves we're using are to assist us in that process of restoration. The same way the toothbrush, the toothpaste, and the fucking cologne is to assist the person on their process of like using more. So we're using the very same thing, belief system that brought us into addiction to get us out of addiction.
Cool.
So, yeah, okay, since that is the case, right, we're talking about how beliefs are constructed through society, who I'm with, yada, yada, yada. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, it's like, okay, well then, what can I have faith in and believe can help restore me to sanity? What does that look like? And do I believe it does? Do I have any fears or barriers that prevent me from doing what I believe does work? Any questions?
Nope.
All right, well, let's take a break and we will come right back. So one time I fucking was in college and we were watching Belly that day. And me and my roommate watching Belly. And right after we watched Belly, we ate mushrooms and went to a party.
So you guys were real on. You guys were
real
on,
dude. Yeah. So we're at this party. We're on mushrooms. We end up finding acid.
Yeah.
So we're about to head back to the house. It's like 11 p.m. and we're like, all right, bro, let's go back. And somebody stops and was like, yo, Jimmy, you got acid, man. You want some? And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. So we buy some acid. I'm like, let's drop it now, so by the time we get home. So we get home. I don't know if anybody's tripped all day. But when you're tripping all day, your brain adjusts to tripping.
Yeah.
Like, you're no longer like, whoa, the walls are melting. You're like, yeah, dude, the walls are melting. Like, and it goes back to like the neurology that we're talking about. Like, my brain has to adjust to the new perspective to function. So by the time I get home, it's like, I remember it was 3 or 4 a.m. I've been tripping since like, 7? You know what I mean? And this kid calls me, and he's like, yo, is it cool if my buddy comes through, buys an eighth off you? He's a freshman. I'm a junior at the time. I'm like, yeah, bro, send him through. This is a fucked up story, all right? And the kid comes through. I had watched Belly that day. So, you know the scene where they make the guy strip?
Yeah.
Kid walks in. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what do you need, man? And I'm like bug-eyed, bro. Like, what's up, man? Like, what do you need, dude? And I'm like, I'm drunk. I'm like high. I'm like looking at him all weird. He's like, hey, it's a freshman. Just like, hey, I'll just take an eighth. And I'm like, all right, bro. And I like am making it out or whatever, and I just go, what do you say? He goes, so, hey, man, you got this all the time? Like, is it cool if I, like, call you often? I go, you cool, man? And he's like, yeah, totally cool, dude, totally. I'm like, bro, you cool, bro? And he's like, I'm cool, man. And my roommate just was in the room, too. He just shuts the door and goes, he asked you if you were cool, bro. And locks the door. And the kid was like, totally cool, man. I swear, I'm, like, really, really cool. And I was like, I don't know if he's cool, bro. And he's like, my roommate's like, I don't think he's cool either.
Oh, God. What a bunch of douche
bags. And he goes, and I'm like, what do you think we should do, bro? And he just goes, there's only one thing we can do. He's like, guys, I'm really cool, please. Like,
can I just have my weed go?
Fucked up. And I just go, strip.
Oh, God.
And the kid just starts, like, undoing his belt.
Lord.
And me and him just go, we're fucking with you, man. Here's your weed.
Yeah.
He just ran off, and I would see him like at a party. I'd be like, yo, and he would like, oh God.
There's that psycho. Fucking sick bookie, dude.
There's that psychopath who made us almost strip, right? All right, so but that's my Belly story because I watched it that day, and that's what happens, and I felt like I am Belly, you know what I mean?
Ours were worse. Mine's worse, so I'll just let that
go. Okay, so let's just ex-nay what we have tried, or let's just ex-nay kind of like all just 12-step. Obviously, 12-step programs is like what can help most what can best help most overcome addiction, but I want to keep this discussion kind of like open. What do you believe has the ability to restore you to sanity? Yes.
For me, it's God and Jesus.
What else tangible?
God working through other people.
So other people.
Other people.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
The
Outside help.
Outside help.
I was gonna say the ponderables.
What are ponderables?
Like it's a newsletter that has like all the literature all in one every morning.
Okay, that's dope. I gotta check that out.
You're not on the ponderables? Oh, it's dope. I'll show you.
The Bible.
Bible?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Sponsor.
Sponsored.
Meetings in your sober community.
Meetings. Sober. Community.
Even just like routine, staying busy.
Discipline.
I was hoping somebody would say that.
Support system.
Yeah, we need support.
Treatment?
Yes.
Let's talk about treatment a little bit. What do you think is the dumbest rule in treatment?
You can't date anybody for a year.
In treatment? Is that a rule?
I'm
gonna put that down.
What's the dumbest rule in treatment?
Yeah.
You have to make your bed.
Make bed.
I don't think it's dumb. I make my bed anyway.
How does that, you don't like getting
That's a rule for it.
I fucking
Yeah,
I've been making my bed since I was fucking a kid.
Yeah.
My dad used to whip my ass.
They have restrictions on
Four-finger
coffee.
fold.
Coffee restrictions.
Yeah.
And paper towels.
Paper towel
Yeah.
restrictions.
We only get
We
two
don't
rolls.
get none.
Yeah, we only get 2 rolls.
But
for
are
6
you
women.
are you talking about what like
Like
here
right now?
here in this
No.
system or in
Oh, right
treatment?
This system.
Oh.
Oh,
Right now? Okay.
Yeah,
they
that's
don't
a
have coffee restrictions.
oh yeah, that
in
is
the
an
system.
Yeah,
Men and
guys
female.
can't be with girls
Yes.
alone.
I don't understand
You
that.
have to be in the same sex like to drive in a car
There's
together.
only 2 rings. There's only 2 species.
Stupid rule.
Yeah.
Right now. That I know of.
I don't think so, but
Is there curfew?
yes.
Yes,
curfew.
I was thinking that, but then I was like, I understand why.
Now,
Now
why? Why is what do you understand about curfew? Like, why is curfew a rule that you should believe is restoring you to sanity?
Because nothing good happens after 2 a.m. I'm
It's
sure.
actually
2 a.m.
10
Holy
p.m.
crap!
It's the witching hour.
It's the yeah. Think about that, right?
I mean, it
Like-
holds you accountable for one.
Yeah.
Well, and they don't
I
want
was partying at 8 a.m.
Partying at 8 a.m. Right.
Keeps you on a schedule.
Now, do you think that the rule of curfew is something only Southeast does?
No.
No.
It's like
All
sober
treatment
living,
centers
yeah.
probably have curfew, right?
Right.
It's necessary.
So does that mean that maybe it's important?
Yes.
Yes.
And all the other ones too, like about staying with your same sex and all that. All those there's good hard data to back those for a successful statistical recovery, you know?
Right.
Just giving us at least the best chance that they can to fucking beat this thing. Not 100%, not even near 100%, but the best chance, you know?
I think it's
Yeah, but it's fucking stupid. I'm special.
It is.
And I'm better.
I do. Well, like they say, like a male can't sponsor a female.
Yeah.
But what if that male can help that female? You know,
What if?
What if?
Hey,
you know?
I don't know.
There's exceptions
never
to
really
every rule.
understood that.
Let's be real.
Now,
But
now
they
wait.
exist for.
Say there are exceptions to every rule,
That shit is
I will
slippery
break each and
slope.
every one of them.
That's a slippery slope.
right?
Well, think about the Audubon. You don't hear a lot of accidents happening on the Audubon. There's no speed limit.
Say curfew,
Well,
right?
that's
Let's
fine
use
metaphors.
curfew for instance, okay? Curfew is set in place. Probably good evidence that supports why a person in recovery should return home at a reasonable time.
You should probably
know?
get to bed earlier, which is really healthy to fucking restore your brain.
You get to bed earlier. You probably have to plan a little bit better. You know what I mean? So if this is just me, if I was running a treatment center and you didn't make it home for curfew, I would have questions. And it's like, what happens is like you were saying, the ego, the entitlement, what kind of set in, and I know because I've been there. I'm on the other side like, dude, I'm doing everything right. I participate in group, I do the therapy, I do the UA. Who cares if I'm 30 minutes late because I went to get pancakes with the people at the meeting, dude? You know? And it's like, that type of thinking is a belief system that is dangerous to my own treatment. You see what I'm saying? And if I can't see that. So what it takes is a power greater than myself, which is why they say if you're going to be late, give us a call. You know, nothing crazy about that.
Right.
But some people are too entitled to even call. They believe that when I do call, I'm not going to get the response I want. So they don't even call.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say that about 12-step programs. This program is not going to give me what I want, so I'm not going to work it. You know what I mean? It's not going to give me the result that I want, so why even try?
Yeah. They're just in the face of all the fucking positive data, they're just fucking, fuck that.
Yeah.
I know better.
Now, I didn't know data. You know what I mean? I just know that the only people who ever told me to be home at a certain time were who?
Your parents.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whenever my parents told me to be home at a certain time, how do we respond to them?
Okay. See ya. I'll be here.
Okay.
Snuck out.
So, snuck out. You see people do that in treatment too. But you see what I'm saying? It's like, so maybe I'm going about these rules in an incorrect way. In my belief on how I'm going about them, I might not even be able to see it because it's the only way I've gone about it my whole life. You know? I mean, dude, people telling me to come home to go to bed, that don't happen. And I'll tell you what, if you don't want someone calling you to tell you to come home to go to bed, who you can and can't hang out with, what you should do with your time to make your bed, to clean up your dishes, stay sober, get your own place, mess it up.
That's exactly what I was going to say. There's a reason why we have these rules, because we were given those liberties and freedoms and we fucked them up.
And we have to believe that you have to believe that these rules are helping you. They're not hurting you. Like, I believed my parents were getting in the way of my fun, so I didn't want to come home. When in reality, I shouldn't have been out at that time anyways. You know? And I believe that this treatment center is getting in the way of my recovery. It's like, dude, you signed a lot of documentation that says we're responsible for you. You know what I mean? It's like, you gotta look at the big picture. Okay? And when you look at the big picture, you change your perspective, you see how you behave in these social interactions, you understand your behavior, you may want to behave differently. You might, right? So let's say, let's use, you could go through the rules and you see that the rules of treatment are backed by science, backed by quality, peer-reviewed studies by scientists, evidence-based, yada, yada, yada. So obviously the suggestions would make sense. But what about 12-step programs? Where's the scientific data around these 12-step programs?
Millions of people have stayed clean for extended periods of time.
But the interesting thing is this is an anonymous program. Where do I go?
Right here. There was one group, then there was 3 groups, and in the 30s, there was 150 groups within a 2-year span with no internet, no nothing. So that's right there. And we're talking about like 1939. Now there's hundreds of thousands of groups all over the globe. It's like it spreads organically. That's fucking data.
Yeah.
Were you open to that data at your first meeting?
No. I was like, who are these fucking old losers, you know? I mean, I had to go to 30 meetings in 30 days when I was 21 because of a DUI. And I was just like, I was that guy, just like, how can I con my way into getting my paper signed, you know?
Right.
What do I have to pay? You know?
Is there anything that anyone, dude, I'm talking real or not real, is there anything that could have happened that could have came down and told
Nothing.
you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely nothing.
Dude, nothing.
Jimmy, I was fucking out. My mind was somewhere else, you know? I was just thinking about what I had in my car, what I was gonna do, whatever, you know?
You agree with that?
Sure.
I see you nodding your head like,
Yeah.
when you came into AA or NA the first time, did you have any belief in it.
No, I was the guy drinking in the parking lot before I went.
You see what I'm saying? Now, okay. If this appears like a common theme, I was doing the same thing. I was 18, went to my first AA meeting with some kid because he had a bunch of DUIs and he was gonna let me do cocaine and smoke me up. So I was like, all right, we'll go to this fucking 12-step meeting.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And we showed up and I was like, nope, not me, dude. These people got some crazy shit going on. This ain't me, you know? And I did not accept that me being here is true for me in my life. How do I come into the belief? What, 10 years later? But from that point, it might have been like 7 or 8. How do I come into the belief that I need to be here? This is a place that I need to be.
Because the same beliefs that kept you fucking defensive towards it let you down, man.
So you see that the beliefs we have in active addiction.
You got a good taste of pain, and you're like, fuck,
Well,
I gotta try something else.
Think about this, dude, right? In active addiction, the beliefs we used to have are not based in the evidence we now have.
Right. The evidence has led us to a point where those beliefs are fucking faulty, bro.
Right, like this isn't making sense. This used to be fun. This isn't fun anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
Where's the evidence of the fun? This
Yeah.
isn't what I wanted.
But like me, Jim, like I'm gonna say 6 years ago. Let's say 7 years ago. If I keep trying to do this shit myself, and no, I'm gonna use Triangle as an example. I kept going to Triangle and find the same people grabbing 6, 7, 8 years, so my mind state, I know this shit'll work. But like, I think I walked in late, I was that guy outside smoking squares and shit. Bullshit. Wasn't taking it serious cause I figured you sold your car for dope. I never done that before. So I figured you sicker than me. I minimize my problem real quick. Like I say, like, if that shit ain't happened to me, I'm good.
I
ain't ready. You in a crack house, I'm in a strip club. They're two different things.
Right.
At the end of the day, we both fucked up.
Right.
That's how I looked at it.
I was in an AA meeting last night, and there was a person who came on and was like, I don't really know if I'm an alcoholic or not. I know I have a problem, but like I don't think I'm as bad because I've never gotten a DUI.
Right.
I haven't been arrested yet. And that was when they were like, yet.
Yeah.
And now think about the beliefs of the good that there's no evidence to prove that, and the beliefs that this hasn't happened yet. There's no evidence to back that either. It has happened, buddy. You know what I mean? So your yet is already here, and those beautiful romanticizing of what it used to be like no longer exists. And this is like, if this was a scientific experiment, we'd be like, bro, we should have been published this paper. We should have been done this. I don't know why we haven't done this yet. And keep in mind, I want to go back to something you were saying, how you're outside smoking cigarettes in the parking lot. If this was I'll tell you, go back to when you were in high school, and there's some people who pass the classes, and there's some people who don't. If someone is outside smoking cigarettes in the parking lot, you better be a goddamn prodigy. You know what I mean? Because there's only one way to learn something, and that's repeated exposure. Okay?
Being in the class.
Being in. If you're not in the... Dude, how many of you can maybe remember one sentence I said? Like, if I was to go back, and if you were to just sit there and think about one thing you learned in my class, you may have learned it from one sentence. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you were outside smoking a cigarette, you would have missed that sentence. You would have missed one sentence that I said that could have completely changed your entire life. Some people, don't go to school one day and they miss out on class and they have to make that up. If they don't make it up, then they don't learn the lesson. They don't understand what is needed to be where they need to be. It goes back to cheating. Like, if I'm cheating my way through, I'm not learning what I need to learn to get the grade I want to get, I desire to get.
I saw I lived in a house with 5 women, first couple semesters of vet school. 3 out of the 5 failed out of school. Why? Because on a Friday night I was studying, they're banging on my window, let's get drunk, let's hang out, let's party. Priorities.
And that same thing is going to occur
Right.
if you decide to work a 12-step meeting, if you decide to do anything. I specifically remember times where people would be like, hey, Jimmy, we're going out for pancakes. You want to come with us? And I had to say, I would love to, but I have to go home and do this step work. I got to. I cannot push my step work off any further. And you'll see, that's a determining factor among people who like stay and who don't stay, who do the work and who don't do the work, you know? And I didn't see it as, oh, I'm missing out on like friends and pancakes. It's like, no, this is valuable information I'm learning. This is valuable stuff. Step work is valuable to me, right? Some people don't see school as valuable. I mean, at 18 years old, 13, 14 on your high school, we may not value education. You see what I'm saying? So, and you see people live their life in regret sometimes for their mismanagement of their education.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to do is look back on my life with the mismanagement of my recovery. You see what I'm saying? Knowing that I could have passed and I failed.
Because mismanaging your education, you can still catch up with that, you know? Mismanaging your recovery, you could fucking die.
Right. So let's keep it as basic as possible, okay? Let's do, of course there's like treatment and there's rules, but let's go back to like, okay, there's no evidence, but I mean there's evidence, but there's no like scientific
There's no statistical
research.
recorded data.
Right, exactly.
It's word of mouth data.
So what is the word of mouth program to work in 12 steps? So they hand out key tags and they say some suggestions. 90 and 90,
Yeah.
some suggestions in the newcomer, 90 meetings in 90 days, work the steps,
Get a sponsor.
get a sponsor,
Don't get romantically involved for a year.
no, yeah, that's already on this list.
Yeah.
Put that up at the top, I guess.
What else?
Get a home group, you're homeless without one,
Yeah.
read literature,
Yeah.
get a
Stay in the
Get
solution.
connected. Get
service, big book,
Service.
and don't get high no matter what.
You have to be sober to have recovery.
Yes. So, literature, don't get high, home group, service. I'm gonna go with these right here.
90
90 steps
Get
sponsorship.
Yeah, those are cool.
I would say those are like the core foundation of, ready? Anything you want to learn or believe, you need something that is not you to learn something. Okay? It could be sponsorship, break it down. Let's talk about learning math. All right? How do kids go from knowing nothing about math to knowing math? Right?
They're taught.
By who?
A teacher.
A teacher.
People that know.
Is a student teaching students?
No.
Right?
In university.
Yeah, right. I love that. That's so cool. Right? I want to do that one day. I want to teach teachers.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys, I see this as that. I'm teaching sponsors. I'm helping you guys become like sponsors long term. I want you to do what I'm doing for you for someone else. Let's say getting a sponsor, working the steps, sponsorship, just having a teacher, having a mentor, someone to guide you, right? Steps, homework. What happens if you don't do homework in school?
Oh, you fail.
Right? Or at least you don't get the grade you could get.
Right. And also the concepts that you're learning don't really sink in.
Right. Now 90 and 90. You have to be in class. You have to be in class.
What if you do more than one meeting a day? Does that so you get?
Okay, ready? This is where the individuality. So I see this as a foundation, right? I need someone to teach me. I need to do some work outside of work, and I need to put myself in the place that it's happening. You know what I'm saying? I need to like limit my distractions and stuff like that. I see how I do that and make it my own as the creative recovery process. So let's use this for instance. There's a way to do therapy, and there's a way to teach, and there's a way that Jimmy does therapy and teaches, right? There's music. Music is the foundation. And then there's different artists who create different music, right? There are recovering addicts. What your recovery looks like is individualized to you. Now, there are things that may prevent you from optimizing your recovery, whatever that may be, but you want to talk about that. You want to think about that. Maybe plan ahead so that you know you can do it without any hiccups happening, right? So now it's about, okay, I do believe these things work. Like, we believe these work, right?
Yes.
I mean, not believe in that. I'm showing you the basic foundation of how these things work in like learning anything. You know what I mean? Changing
They are
yourself.
called suggestions, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Somebody would suggest, if you're going to exercise, maybe go to the gym every day, work on your diet, and maybe have a trainer or go like do some education somewhere. It's just like a foundation of like wanting to change yourself or being a better person and being better at something, not a better person, better at something, right? So, what fears do you have about these suggestions?
They'll cut into my social life. Less me time.
But they won't work.
Waste of time.
Doubt
Too
they're
far
a
gone.
sponsor. Like, they might abandon, not abandon, but like, might not work out, or they might relapse.
Dumb.
Lack of faith.
Lack of faith, yeah. Fear, fear is an emotion. It's a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, moods, and relationships with people, objects, and concepts. And this specific emotion is an unpleasant one deriving from the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. So we believe that this is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. What is it dangerous, painful, or threatening about going to 90 and 90, getting a sponsor, working the steps? Is that painful? Yeah, I'm comfortable in my bed. I'm gonna have to get up. I'm comfortable not. A lot of people have what do they call it? Like social anxiety. I don't like texting people asking for rides. I don't like doing that. I don't like asking people to be my sponsor. It hurts, right? It's uncomfortable. Are you afraid of that? Well, what's the opposite? You know what I mean? Am I afraid of what would happen if I don't? Like, what happens if I don't have a sponsor? Who do I talk to if I don't have a therapist? Am I going to talk to my parents about? We were talking about this last week. On Monday, am I going to talk to my parents about this? You know what I mean? Am I going to go to my parents or my friends and say, "Hey, can you teach me math?"
Right.
No, go to a math class, dude.
Or I'm really thinking about fucking smoking something, you know? Like, hey mom, how you doing? How was your day? And yeah, I'm doing fine, but I just have this like yearning for some glass.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking
dude.
about?
Like, so it's not just believing that it is gonna work, right? Because some people believe it's gonna work, but do I believe that without it, I might be handicapped? You know what I mean? Like, imagine if you don't know math. How messed up. Imagine if you can't read. Letters are just symbols. They're not even letters. They're just like scribbles for people who can't read, you know? It's like, how do you function? I'll tell you what, People who can't read stay sober. People who can't do math stay sober. People who are deaf can stay sober. People who don't even believe this is working and work it anyways can stay sober. You know, it's like the opportunity is there. I'm the one who has to believe that I can do it. So maybe I'm afraid that I'm going to have less me time. It won't work. You know, I doubt my sponsor, have a lack of faith. It's a waste of time. What about addiction? Then why are we here? Then why recover? Waste of time. Didn't we sign up for this to like, I mean, how many people do we know who come into recovery willing? I will do anything. Please. Anything. I'll do anything, bro. And then it's like, okay, get a sponsor. Ha! You know, come on, man. Yeah, get a sponsor. You go, you talk to someone. Well, Jimmy, can't you just be my sponsor? Dude, no. Go get a sponsor. Jimmy, can't you just like work out for me? No, dude. Can't you go to the gym and I'll just say that I did it too? What, dude? Go out there, get uncomfortable. People are afraid of the pain associated with rejection. They're not afraid of like doing the thing. They're afraid of it failing. They're afraid of it hurting. They're afraid of it being uncomfortable, right? And the belief of that, which could be true, dude, it's gonna be uncomfortable. You're gonna have to get out of bed. Like, in that belief...
You might join a cult.
Yo, it might be a cult. Yo, seriously. I'm not gonna sit here and say that 12-step programs aren't a cult. You know what I mean? But hey, I would much rather have you in a cult than a coffin, dude. I would much rather have you doing this and doing that than out there ripping and running. I would rather have somebody, like, believe in like religion or something like that than have no belief at all, like, and just ruin their life, you know what I mean, have no moral foundation, you know. And hey, it's not a cult.
No, the joke was an inside joke. Into joined a cult.
I
went to that place.
Oh,
what was it called? Into?
Complete abandon.
Complete abandon.
Wow, dude.
They got him.
That was the thing you were talking to me about?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
What happened?
He's fine.
I'm out of it. Completely out of it now. I cut off the sponsor, my past sponsor that was part of that cult. Basically everybody that came up to me at the first like 3 meetings that I went to outside of like rehab, all were part of that place. So it was pretty crazy.
And what were they saying to you?
Well, basically, like, they were telling me I couldn't take psych meds, which I don't already, but they're, like, 100% against it. They wanted me to only go to those meetings, and if I didn't go to those meetings, I would have to go to the meetings that they wanted to go to. It was every day. They would make me stay every day for around 3 hours.
Basically, they do not adhere to the traditions and principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. They have their own they have their own charter, their own set of rules, and they're banned from
basically every clubhouse
in and around Atlanta.
Yeah,
they're not welcome at 8111. They're not welcome at Triangle. They're not welcome at a lot of rooms.
Yeah, they prey on newcomers, and they call them pigeons.
What?
Yeah, I was about to say that. I went on Reddit. And they do sacrifices on birds and stuff. Apparently, I was deep into research, and I was like, okay, so you call us pigeons, and y'all do sacrifices on birds. Sounds pretty crazy.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was the name of that?
Yeah.
Complete abandon or non-abandon. There's like different words for it, but yeah, they covered up saying that they were triangle and everything when they're not at all. They're like right down the street, guys, so don't go there.
Wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want that.
Pretty
okay, so part of how do I prevent the fear associated with this, right? Did anybody in my fear class in detox at all?
Yeah.
What do you remember? Do you remember what the answer was to fear? to lean into it with a safe plan, right? As long as your plan to do this is safe and attainable, you're gonna feel okay. It's not gonna be scary, right? It's scary to think about failing 90 and 90, but it's okay. If you miss a day, go tomorrow. You're not gonna lose a grade, you know what I mean? Nothing bad's gonna happen. If you find a sponsor that doesn't work out for you, you just get another one.
Yep.
You know? I'll tell you what though, there is something you do need to believe when it comes to working a program, that it requires 3 things, and we're gonna talk about this in the 3rd step, but these 3 things are very important. It requires time, effort, and self. In order for you to restore yourself to sanity, while using powers greater than yourself, it's going to require you to engage time into it, right? You would be in the cult right now if you didn't spend time researching it, bro.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Relying on these websites and things that people said about this place before. How many people looked this place up before you came here? You know? Do a little bit of research before you come. You want to believe that you're going to a good place. And I also want you to believe that when you get out of here, where you're going for recovery, welcome, is a good place. It's like safe for you. It's not a scary destination. It's not a scary, I'm not afraid of failing. And that helps you keep, one thing that helps me do that is keep it just for today. Okay, maybe 90 and 90 is a lot. I'm not going to fucking worry about 90 and 90. Can I make it to a meeting today? Yeah, I could do today. And then if you do today enough times, eventually you got 90. Now, why is it important, these 3 things? One, time. You can't learn math overnight. You know what I mean? You can't learn all about addiction and recovery overnight, so it requires time. An hour a day, I think, is an appropriate amount of time for you to dedicate yourself to strictly working on the number one thing that's ruining your life. I think that's literally the bare minimum we could do. If you could do more, you would do more. Right now, you're doing like 24 hours a day, fully focused on recovery. When you get out of here, the rest of the world may not be on that same wavelength. So I know, for me, that the best thing for me to do is eat fish to get my fish oil, my omega-3 and stuff like that. But since I don't eat fish all the time, I supplement it with fish oil. I'll tell you, if people struggling with addiction could all go to treatment, I think it would be amazing. I think everybody should go to treatment. Everybody should sit in these classes and learn this type of stuff, you know? Now, if I see myself as needing this, as a human, as a person in recovery, I need this type of class, these type of people, this type of information. How can I supplement it when I get out of here? A 12-step meeting, church, whatever you want it to be, could be a great supplementation for this, but there has to be something. And I think that whatever you do, if it's geared strictly towards you regaining the ability to think and behave in a normal, rational manner, I think an hour a day is a very manageable amount of time for you to do that. So you can spend an hour a day sitting on YouTube, learning about recovery, watching videos, whatever the case may be, and that's enough for some people. For some, maybe more is enough, right? The effort, time is inevitable. You need to do time. How much time is variable, Effort, also very important. Do you believe that there's a difference between how people receive the message when they're sitting here totally focused versus sitting there like this?
Absolutely.
I'm listening, I swear.
No, I'm just not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm just saying what it is. What about if I'm in here, do you think I'm hearing the message in here? What if I'm outside smoking a cigarette?
No.
Which one's more effort?
Being here.
You see what I'm saying? And where you apply that effort is important. I see people putting a lot of effort into areas that are dead roads. Relationships, Like people in early recovery trying to be in new relationships. It's like, yo, don't. That's a dead road. Just stop. Wait. Learn about yourself. Then get back into it. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't be in a relationship. I'm not saying anything like that. Don't do what you do, you know? But what I am saying is just give yourself a break. Learn a little bit about yourself. And you need to put effort into that.
Yeah.
You learning about you requires effort. It requires discomfort. You don't learn anything about yourself when you're comfortable. I'll tell you what, when people do a cold shower, they learn they're pussies, dude. Motherfuckers very rarely can do a cold shower without losing their breath in a matter of 30 seconds, dude. Come on, man. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying, look at how quick. How long does it take before somebody's uncomfortably hungry? You see what I'm saying? The effort I put into dealing with that feeling, I reap the reward. So if I put, like, I think maximum effort to dealing with my hunger is going to the grocery store, buying food, healthy food, going home, cooking my meal, and eating it at home and doing the dishes. That's maximum effort. I could go way beyond that. I could do like a 5-course turkey Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I mean? That's maximum effort. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to make dinner for the night. And I think that's enough effort to get me in a healthy state, healthy place for me and my family, and people get to benefit from that. What about if I want, what do you think I would eat if I don't want to put any effort or time into it?
McDonald's, Taco Bell.
If I don't want to cook. I don't want to cook. I don't want to self, right? Going back to self. I don't want to cook. I don't want to go to the meeting. I don't want to get the sponsor. I don't want to call them every day. I don't want to put the effort in. Well, what do you want to do? You want to eat McDonald's? Do you want to drink alcohol? You want to get high? Then you're wasting your time here. Because I'm talking about sobriety here. I don't know, where do you gotta go if you want to hear that message? The complete opposite of this place, right?
Everywhere else.
Right. Are there any other barriers that may make it difficult for you to like work your program? I'm not going to say 12-step program. I'm just going to say whatever program works best for you. 12-step could be in that. Treatment could be in that, whatever the case may be. What's a barrier that may have prevented you from coming to treatment, for instance?
School.
Great one. Work.
Not wanting to stop doing work.
Don't even want to stop. No desire.
Ego, pride.
Pride. I can do this. I'm
Finances.
strong. Finances. Too much money.
Shame and guilt.
Shame and guilt. I don't even want to face it. If I go to treatment, I'm going to have to feel shame and guilt. And I don't want to feel that.
Feelings in general.
Feelings in general. Yo. And you know, talk about, I'll tell you what. I talk about the flat tire. If there's a barrier that prevents you from being able to fix your flat tire, you sit on the side of the road with your broken down vehicle. Wherever it breaks down. And I'll tell you what, dude. If you don't put time, effort, self, you overcome these barriers and you plan ahead, you might just break down. Some people have experienced it, you know? Okay. As addicts, we're prone to wanting everything to happen instantly, but it's important to remember that this is a process. Coming to believe is a process, right? It's not an event. It's not like an explosion. Now you believe, right? It's like you gotta come. I mean, talk about the process of believing Santa Claus isn't real. There's many moments where we responded with denial until the very big moment. That big moment is not the moment that I came to believe. It's a lot of moments, a compilation of moments that lead me into that moment, right? So when we come into believing that recovery is possible for me, it's not an event. It's the repeated exposure to recovery-related things. That's why 90 meetings in 90 days is so effective, because then you're going to have a compilation of 90 hours of you being exposed to recovery-related things, right? Most of us don't just wake up and know that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. We gradually grow into this belief. Still, we don't just have to sit back and wait for a belief to grow on its own. We can help it along. So yes, this belief can happen on its own. You can sustain it, but what you do want to do is nurture this belief. You want to take care of it. You want to water it. You want to reap the rewards of this belief. One day you can pick an apple off of it and eat it and say, I grew this. Do you know in North Korea, you have to turn your poop into the regime? To the government. You have to turn your poop into the government. Not because food is so scarce. And they're not afraid they're going to eat the poop. They're afraid you're going to use the poop to fertilize the ground to grow food to eat. And I'll tell you what, there are people in your life that don't want you to plant that seed because they know you can do it, and I'm going to lose you. I want you down here with me. There are people who are like, don't plant that seed. Nah, man, keep drinking. Keep using it. It's good. Because if you plant that seed, then your seed's going to be planted in me, and I don't want to quit drinking. I don't want to quit using, dude. Oh, come on, man. Now your beliefs are jading my beliefs. It's like, you got to protect these. You got to water them. You got to nurture them. You got to be like, yo, I remember when I grew weed back in high school, I'd be like, yo, want to see my weed plant? I'd be like, come on over, check it out. We'd all be standing around it. I'd be like, this is my weed plant. You know? You know what I mean? That's how you should be with your recovery, dude. Look at, man, this is my recovery. Can you believe it? It's growing. It's going to be a fucking plant one day. We're going to smoke this one day. One day, I'm going to be a productive member of society. I'm going to grow this recovery. I'm going to make people want to be sober. I'm going to give people that light. I needed the source. Now I am the source. That's huge. That's what I want for you. Do you believe that's possible?
Yes.
Then yes, good. If you don't, you got to step out of that fishbowl. You got to step out of that cage. And you got to believe in more for yourself. No cap. I can be whoever I want to be. I can be whoever I want to be. And you can't tell me I can't be that. You can't.
Facts.
You can't put me in no box. You know what people... When people say, who's Jimmy? That's Jimmy. I don't know how. He's just fucking Jimmy. He's this ball of energy. I want you to have that with you. You are your own unique person that nobody can take you away from. Jimmy is an alcoholic. Jimmy is an addict. That's not what I want, bro. And there is a way to get out of that. I just got to figure out what it is and work it. And my belief has grown. Like, I mean, I'm sure that when I first came into treatment, I believed it was stupid. Talking about when I'm 18, believing AA and all that is dumb. How has my belief grown since I've been in recovery? You know? I no longer think it's stupid. I no longer think this is a room full of addicts. I say, I am an addict in this room. You know what I mean? Like, I am an addict with all these other addicts. I'm not indifferent. I'm not better than, less than, I'm equal to. And that gives me freedom to learn from you. I'm learning from you. I learn from everybody. If there was an answer, like a pill or an answer to do this the fastest way possible, I would give it to you. I wouldn't hide that. I wouldn't hold that information. But this is what we got for this information, okay? Like 12 steps, treatment, this is what we got that works. For not only like learning about how to stay sober, learning about myself, preventing bad behaviors and stuff like that, but for learning anything, for educating myself on anything. Okay, so that is coming to believe. Coming to believe is a process. It requires exposure to powers greater than myself. Some of those powers greater than myself are these things. 90 Beans in 90 Days, Working Steps, Getting a Sponsor, Home Group, Literature, yada, yada, yada. Now we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what are these powers greater than myself right here. How are these powers greater than myself? Why don't I have the power without them? And what can these things, like what power can be given to me as a result of using these tools? So take a couple minutes and then we will come on back and keep rocking and rolling. We're gonna kind of have a discussion on power. Not really gonna dive into the power greater than ourselves class discussion. We're gonna save that for Monday. So on Monday, we're gonna mostly have a long class on power greater than ourselves and how to use that to restore us to sanity, okay? But now, for today, I just kind of want to talk about powers greater than ourselves, right? Like, to you, power is what?
The ability to do something.
Okay.
Influence.
The ability to do something. Influence. Yeah, that's all right. Influence. Ability to do something. Now, what is power? So what gives power? When you think of power, what do the powerful have?
Amperage times resistance equals voltage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So electricity.
Control.
Leadership.
Resources.
What's a resource that someone has that gives them power?
Money.
Money. Let's talk a little bit about money. Someone who has no money, do they have a high amount of power?
No.
Why? What defines some, like,
Leverage.
leverage? What else? Like, how does, what makes someone not having money powerless?
Society. I mean, I would think that
Availability of resources.
Just because you don't have money doesn't mean that you aren't rich in other places of your life.
Right.
No.
That's correct.
No.
Having no money. Let's say we have no money.
Hey guys, we're going to the movies. I guess I'm not.
So I don't have the power to go to the movies.
Right.
I don't have the power to
Get food.
to get these resources needed, right? To
Restricted social access.
restricted, so if I don't have this power, that's a great way to put it, thank you. I have this restricted social access, specifically with money. And this money gives me access to places that people without it do not. Leadership. If someone is in a leadership position, they have access to different places that other people do not. Now, the acquirement of that leader position requires time, effort, and self. Very rarely, unless you're inheriting a position, you're like a prince, you know what I mean? You need to put in some time and effort and work for that leadership position. And when you get that position, comes great power. With great power comes great
Spider-Man.
right? Now, some people want the power without the responsibility. They want the power without the effort. And have you ever seen that show where people become rich from the lottery ticket?
Yes.
They get money as what happens to people, most people, not 100%, but what happens to most people when they hit the lottery? They fall into this power of having money without the
Effort.
Knowledge.
without the effort, right? Without the knowledge. What happens?
They blow
lose
it.
it.
They blow it, right?
All they know how to do is spend it. They don't know how to.
They don't know how to invest it, save it, or spend it in the right places.
Right.
You know what I mean? What about somebody who earns $1 million? What power does earning $1 million? It's the same power. It's $1 million. The same power is there, but one person has the power. They earned it, and another person it was dropped
Given
upon
to
them.
them.
What's the difference?
There's humility, somebody that earns it. There's
Sense of
gratitude.
responsibility.
Humility,
He can lose it and
gratitude,
get it
responsibility. What?
again. He can lose it and get it again.
Bro,
Yeah.
you can
Resilience.
lose it and get it again.
Yeah.
Someone who earns the $1 million may not be afraid to be with nothing. Bro, there's something about knowing that I took the bus for like 2 years that makes me say if I lost everything, I can still take the bus. Like, you know what I mean? There's moments in my life where I have no money, and the ability for me to know that money is not power lets me sit with my family and not think about money. Some people are unable to sit with their family and be present in the moment because their brain takes them to money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Money's like a drug, like it's only power when you let it be, right?
I think it's tough to say. I don't know.
like,
I've never.
Not is, exactly. But
You can become addicted to
Yeah, you
anything,
could definitely become
including
addicted to money.
Yeah. I see people become addicted to the pursuit of money, right? They become addicted to the work. They become addicted to the sale. You know what I mean? Like
chase.
the making of money. They can become addicted to money, but I think that's like you need to have some rational understanding of the need for money and the no need for money. You see what I'm saying? There has to be a balance between understanding the power it has and the power it does not have. And if I can't find that balance, I may misuse it, mismanage it, put it in the wrong places. I know people who just they have money and they want to give it away. They know how much it sucks to not have money, and they never want to see other people without money. So they get money and they give it away, and then they're broke. They don't have enough money for themselves. It's like, okay, so we're mismanaging this power greater than ourselves. Money, what money does, again, it gives us access to resources, gives us access to maybe places, like you can't get into certain places unless you got money. You know what I mean? And
you can't have a place. You can't have a house and a place to live. You know,
can't have a place. Can't have water. This place needs money. This place needs to operate like that. The 12-step programs need money. They have to pay rent. Those books cost money. You know what I mean? All that stuff costs money. What do you see people who have power over money? So there's people who have money and spend it. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen somebody like healthy manage money in a healthy manner?
Yes.
What are some benefits of managing money in a healthy manner?
You don't stress.
Don't stress.
It makes more money.
Make
That's
more
right,
money.
correctly.
Offers opportunities you might otherwise have.
You always have a reserve.
Prepare
So
for
like
the
a
unexpected,
security.
you know, doctor bill comes up, or, you know, car wrecks, you know, you got money.
Right. And so there's these situations where having money can fix us in an emergency. It can, you see people who manage their money having low stress. They don't put their emotions in their money, right? And as a result of that, they make healthier decisions around that, right? Any power you have works on this. So use strength, right? What benefits come with strength?
You can do more things.
Yeah, you can lift stuff, right? What's a negative about being strong?
Expectations.
Expectations, right? I've seen people who are so strong they can't wipe their butt.
Really?
See those dudes like this? Yeah. I've never met any of them, you know what I mean? But I just can't see them being able to wipe their butt. I just don't see it happening. You know what I'm saying? If you're this big, right? Long term, you could be more susceptible to injury. Maybe you're not fully rounded. Your cardiovascular strength may not be as strong if you're this big, right? You see a lot of people this big can't run a mile, but they can lift a ton of weight, you know? So there's benefits and lack of benefits to having these powers. What do you think is a negative outcome of having a ton of money?
People can take advantage of you.
You hear that?
Sometimes, see, money can either, you can either make decisions with, money can be a part of your decision making, or it can be the driving force of your decision making, all of it. So it's like, I just see somebody having a lot of money having a hard time finding friends. So there's, I ran across a guy, I'm living on the streets. This guy's got like 20-something $million, He's rehabbing houses and stuff. And it's like, being around that guy, like I felt for him. Because he was constantly having to watch things. People were stealing from him all the time. It's like, you can't buy friends. And then you do something nice for somebody. It's like, you never know if they're just doing it because they want it or not. That's hard. It was hard for him to see when I would do something for him. See, I would be suspect all of a sudden. Because he's just not used to people doing nice things for him. It's like his mind, like I couldn't imagine being that lonely, having that much money.
More money, more problems.
Because you got everything you want. That runs out after a while.
It doesn't.
Because what is life when you can't share with anybody? What is it to have something and nobody gives a shit if you have it?
Hard to make them happy.
Does more recovery equal more problems?
Possibly.
Yeah, complacency, right?
But they're manageable problems more so when you're not in recovery or in active addiction. Those problems are not manageable a lot of times. Generalization.
So exercise, we have these powers. Like, when you think about power, we think about, like, power, physical, money, leadership, you know what I mean? But what about, like, simple powers, you know what I mean? Just, like, the power to, like, talk to someone, you know what I mean? The power to...
Self-control.
What is it?
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Practice gratitude. Identify gratitude. You know what I mean? Like, these... Now, let's talk about something like gratitude. How is having gratitude a power greater than me? How am I better or worse as a result of having or not having gratitude?
Contentment.
Perspective.
So if I have gratitude, maybe I'll be more content. I'll have better perspective than if I do not have gratitude.
If you're not thankful for what you have, you keep on and keep on and keep on trying to get something when you might already have what you need.
Keeps me humble.
It helps humility. It starts to bring humility in, right? Building a relationship, a stronger relationship with the things I have, right? Has there ever been a time in your life where you did not have the power to be grateful?
Yes.
Yes.
Things got worse.
It's what?
Things got worse when I did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember my dad saying, Jimmy, take care of your things.
Take care of yourself too.
You know what I mean? And I would just not. And nowadays I'm like, man, I wish I took care of that shit. You think that's the way we need to view our brains, our body, our relationships as something that has to be taken care of. And there are things that can make it better. There are things that can make it worse. We can give things too much power. We can give things not enough power. Our addiction is something that we must give all respect to for the power it has to potentially destroy our lives. In addition to anything that has the ability to destroy our lives. Let's just keep it outside of addiction, right? Like, anything that has the ability to destroy my life, I must admit that it has that ability. If I do not, then I may think I can control it. And when I try to control things like that, they destroy my life, right?
Yeah.
How is this class a power greater than yourself? What does this class do for you that you can't do for you?
Teaches you how to stay sober.
Teaches me how to stay sober.
Offers more objective insight.
Yeah, it gives you more perspectives.
Knowledge. Get that
Inspiration.
but not like here. Being in
Accountability.
yeah.
Are you not at your full potential when you are missing out on having a teacher, gaining knowledge, inside perspective and accountability? Like, are you less than without that?
Yes.
I think anybody is less than without that, bro. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you are. So if I come to class, it may give me the power to do things greater than who I am right now. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see people who have a desire to use right now, and they don't see recovery-related choices as powers greater than themselves to fix that feeling within themselves. And I argue that you can and you should until you have the ability to do it for yourself. Okay?
Yeah.
So for instance, if I have a desire to use, it's my job to call the sponsor, which is a power greater than myself. I have no idea what my sponsor is going to say. I don't even know if they're going to answer. You know what I mean? But here I am putting my outcome in the hands of something else that I know is good for me. I know has the ability to get me to think and behave in a normal, rational manner. There are many powers greater than ourselves out there. It's about identifying and coming to believe that some of them can help me, some of them can't, and some of them have the ability to do both. I'll tell you, drugs for sure is not going to help me recover. 12-step meetings for sure is going to help me recover. My phone, is it going to help me recover? Or is it going to help me mess my life up a little bit more? You see what I'm saying? Still a power greater than myself. And if my phone has that capability, does the meeting have that ability? I'm describing how our morals can change as a result of what we expose ourselves to, you know? Maybe morally I start going to meetings because I want to go for the meeting and to get my hope. But maybe my morals change and I start going to meetings to find chicks. You know? I start going to meetings to bum cigarettes. I start going to meetings to whatever, you know? That motive is a power greater than you. And that motive has the power to change your mind in ways that can impact your recovery negatively. It's up to us to believe the process that we have, love the process we have, trust the process we have, and work it. And in order, I believe, to make that decision, you got to remove all fear associated with it and tailor your recovery program to you. Let's do this really simple thing. Let's have you. We got you right here. And then we have you right here. This is you right now. You have two different trajectories, okay? We're hoping we both want this. You right now wants to stay sober. We're going to see over a period of 90 days who is more likely, which version of you is more likely to stay sober, which version of you is less likely to stay sober. Let's say you go to a meeting a week. One meeting a week. One version of you does no recovery. So this is you with no recovery, and this is you with recovery. And that recovery is not 90 and 90. It's not sponsorship. It's not reading literature. It's nothing like that. The only thing you're changing when you leave here is going to one meeting a week. And you sit there, you listen, you put 100% effort into it. Let's say that. You put like 90% effort. You go there, you sit there, you listen, you don't put your phone out, you fucking get your message of hope once a week. Not your home group, but you go to that meeting. One meeting a week. What is the probability that this person is sober after 90 days and this person is sober after 90 days?
I'd say the one on the right has maybe like 40 to 50% chance, and the one on the left has a 0% chance.
Anybody else?
10%.
10%, 40 to 50, 10%. What? That's a
80-20.
80-20?
50%.
Right? So, dude, if you go to a meeting a week, you could potentially have a 25% more likely chance of staying sober. There's no data. Again, There's no data to prove this. This is hypothetical. This is you imagining your life in this situation, and you're saying there may be a 40% greater chance I stay sober. There may be a 10%. If there was a stock that increased 10% every week, would you invest?
Yes.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see the power the money has in other areas. You would see it only valuable in this area. I have to invest it in here, right? You wouldn't see, well, I'm gonna spend my money here. It's like, dude, no, this is investing 10% every week. You don't have to put all your money into it, dude. You know what I mean? Bro, you are being restored to sanity at a rapid pace. Put all your time, all your effort, and all of you into it so you can reap the reward at the end. If you don't, you're going to be sitting back saying, I wish I invested. I wish I did it. I wish I listened and put my money in, but I didn't. Yes.
I just did a quick search, and there are studies on Alcoholics Anonymous and effective. Like this is from Stanford Medicine. Studies show that AA found that the fellowship helps more people achieve sobriety than therapy does. And it's like it goes on and on. I mean, but there are studies. Is my point.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad that there are. I haven't read those studies, and I would love to. And I think that what you're gonna see is exactly what that study says. This does work. It probably works better than therapy. You know what I mean? And it's what works best for most. And if you were to do, 90 and 90 is the recommend. If you were to go to one meeting a week, you would do 12 and 90. You may see a 10% chance in your probability of staying sober. 24 and 90, you may see a 25% chance. You see what I'm saying? That the more you invest into you in your recovery right now, the more you get out of it. Maybe your stock isn't going to raise 10% every week forever, but this is a big company. This company's booming. You're going to want to get in early while the stock is cheap. If you don't get in now, it may be a lot more power, a lot more effort for you to get recovery again next time. You see what I'm saying? How many people relapse or use after wanting to invest the time and effort into the recovery? How long did you stay out there for after that?
Like 4 days.
4 days. I decided to quit smoking cigarettes one day. Said, nah, I can't. I got mad. This guy brought in my favorite pack, and he gave them to me. I smoked them. I said, you motherfucker, you're the reason I'm relapsing right now. And I smoked for a whole year after that. Right? Had I made the decision and stuck to it right then and there, maybe it would have been different, right? If I had relied on some powers greater than myself, I don't know, Nicorette gum, leaving the fucking room, calling someone who I had quit smoking cigarettes with, maybe I would have not smoked. But I know that as a result of trying none of that, I smoked for a whole other year. Okay, so the thing I'm trying to push you is try whatever you can. Do whatever you can. You don't know what's going to give you the best return. There are things out there that you for sure can't identify will give you a poor return. There are powers greater than yourself that can destroy how much you've worked on, right? And when I come back on Monday, we're going to talk about, okay, what are some of these powers greater than myself? How do these powers greater than myself compare to other powers greater than myself foundationally? We're talking about sponsorship in comparison to a teacher or a mentor, right? So that's what I mean by foundationally, is having someone who knows more about it than I do. And how that compares to other areas of the program, and how you can look at the science behind the program by looking at the science around the foundation of the program. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of science in talking, therapy, right? Stuff like that. And you could compare this to that and use that as the foundation on which to grow off of. We're also going to discuss what is the process of that restoration to sanity. So when I do use a sponsor, when I do go to 90 and 90, What are some barriers or fears or things that are going to happen in that time that I can expect, can anticipate, things that I can look out for that are, as I described earlier, checkpoints, right? Remember when I said that? These are the checkpoints of 90 and 90. These are the checkpoints of treatment. They said when I first came in, I took treatment really seriously, and if anybody was making jokes, I was like, dude, you don't take this seriously? And they're like, Jimmy, bro, give it 30 days. You're going to be that guy. And I didn't believe her. 30 days later, I'm the one making jokes. I'm the one having fun. And some newcomers coming in getting mad at me because I'm making jokes out of it. You see what I'm saying? So, okay. Today we covered believing. What does it mean to come to believe? We did a little bit of power greater than ourselves. And when we come back on Monday, we're going to dive deep into identifying powers greater than ourselves that can restore us to sanity and restore us to insanity. So if you have any questions, write them down, bring them back Monday. And thank you so much for having me, folks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.